If everyone would please be seated. Okay, thank you. Welcome to our April 23rd council meeting. Mrs. RCC, I'm showing that it's 7:31 p.m. Would you please call the roll?
Ms. Darrow?
Here.
Mr. Engel?
Here.
Ms. Hannikin?
Here.
Mr. Molnar?
Here.
Ms. Tully?
Here.
I would now ask everyone to stand and remove their hats as Council President Rita Darrow leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And also at this time, I'm going to ask Councilman Nick Molnar to lead us in the prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are grateful, our Father, for the privilege of training ourselves for service. Give us open minds, a clear understanding, and a steady purpose to make the most of our talents. And lead us into the fields of work where we can best serve Thee. Amen.
Okay, next we have some minutes. Are there any changes to the minutes? If not, do I have a motion to accept?
So made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have our financial report. Can I get a motion to acknowledge receipt, please?
Mr. Mayor, I'm making a motion to acknowledge receipt of the financial report dated March 31, 2015.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I have one question on that report, and I was going to make an assumption, but I don't want to assume. The fire uniforms is at 154% of the budget, so are we getting reimbursement on the uniforms?
I
Wanna
can
take a look
find
at
out
them?
for you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, moving on. The next section of our meeting is comments by the public. We ask you to please come to the microphone here at the front, state your name and address, and we ask you to sign in first before speaking. And we have some people tonight, so please try and keep your comments to 5 minutes. And we'll start with Bill Hahn. Bill? Hi.
I have some handouts here. Unfortunately, I don't have enough for everyone there, but if you pass that down, I appreciate it. My name is Bill Hahn. I'm a resident of Twinsburg, and this will be the 15th annual Twinsburg and Nordonia Relay for Life. 15th annual, like I just mentioned, at the Twinsburg Tiger Stadium. It's June 6th. In the past, it's been 2 days, but it's just one day, Saturday, June 6th. And starts at 12 noon, goes to 12 midnight. You don't have to be there that entire time, but that's what it is for this event. For those of you that may have participated in the event in the past, you may remember that the event starts with the parade of cancer survivors. Obviously, we're there to raise money for the cure of cancer, but if you've ever attended these events, and this is a national event, it's not just Twinsburg and Nordonia, it's held across the country. And if you ever attended this, at the beginning of the event are the cancer survivors. And it's a wonderful thing. And so I just want to cite one example. It just so happens that the mayor and I had a friend by the name of Joyce Paterka, who we've known for many, many years. She was a cancer survivor for many years. Unfortunately, she's not with us today. But isn't that interesting, the small world that we live in, that the mayor and I know of someone that we grew up with. And unfortunately, she's not with us. However, she lived for many, many years, Mayor, just 10 miles away from us, and we didn't know that until she passed away. But she was a survivor for 8 years. And so I want to cite that one example. But how can the residents, I understand we're on television, correct? Mm-hmm. How can the residents of our communities participate? Well, if you'll look at the form, one of the forms there shows a list with my name, Bill Hahn, and my wife's name, Linda Hahn. And respectfully, I'd like to suggest, if you'd like to put a team together, Linda and I would be happy to be on your team. And with one restriction, this is a track that we walk around. The one restriction is we'd be happy to walk with each one of the teams, whether it's this group here or the residents that are watching in. With one restriction, we would not necessarily run around the track with each one of the groups that are participating. So might do that, but probably not. So may I suggest that? And there's also some forms there, some luminary forms. If you've been to the event, the luminaries are set up around the track. Some of cancer survivors, some are people that have lost their lives. So I want to thank everyone who supported this event in the past. Last year, we had 22 teams. As we speak, we're up to 18 teams. And so we're going to surpass that 22, but we can't do it without the help of the Twinsburg residents and the Macedonia residents. And we look forward to having you be with us. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them right now. But thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Well, thanks for doing what you do, Bill.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
All right.
Take care.
Next on the list is Kathy Loya. Kathy?
Good evening. My name is Kathy Loya. I live at 9186 North Bedford Road. I spoke in January of this year in regards to some stormwater issues that we have at our property at 9186 North Bedford, in particular about the erosion to our creek that goes through our property. We do receive water, stormwater runoff that comes down Ledge Road, which also comes from Freeway Drive, north, south, 271, all of that good stuff. It all comes through our creek behind our property until it feeds under North Bedford into Indian Creek. Like I spoke about in January, the erosion to our creek is not improving, nor will it, unless we get some assistance. And I invite anybody, as I have every time I've spoken to council since 2006, please come to our property, rain, shine, whatever. Come and take a look at what is happening behind our house. And basically, I'm just here to urge council to look at this situation, consider it, and adopt something so that we can finally get some resolution to some stormwater issues we have on North Bedford, particularly behind 9186. Thank
Does
you
that
very
problem
much.
affect your neighbors as well?
What's that?
Does the problem affect your neighbors as well?
Yes,
So there's a growing issue there that's not just on your behalf?
correct.
Did we identify that in our stormwater study?
Yes.
Would you know?
Yes.
Yes.
And where was that on the priority list?
I don't recall where on priority list it was. I was, my husband and I, Tom, were original members of the DSCC back in 2006, but it
Right.
was on the list. Yeah.
It was on the list, but it wasn't a priority only because the fixes were so tough. But we've made some progress on that, haven't we? So maybe we got a plan or something that'll work on the horizon, because the problem is, Nick, they're at the bottom of the hill. Probably those houses never should have been built there. Why were they built there? Well, that's the county to answer, because that's before we were a city. But there is a definite problem there with the amount of water that comes through there. And what we need is retention. And Nick and Jim keep me pretty well posted, Kathy, of what they're doing, trying to make something work so we can hold the water back from getting to you. So you never forgot, believe me.
Just want to make sure we're up there on that priority list,
Yeah,
because again,
well,
our situation is not going
This,
to improve.
this is starting to look better and better now that Jim and Nick have made some progress with your neighbors, so.
Yep.
Can
good.
you leave me your
Jim
number? I'd
wanted
like
to
take a
say
look at
something.
that. Can you leave me your number? I'd like to come take a look at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Jim, you have something to say?
Well, Nick and I have been in that section of town. It's, in fact, one of your neighbors at, sorry, 9196. Actually, when I first started, I contacted FEMA. And FEMA made the offer to buy the homes. As you know, that didn't go over too well.
That did not go well.
People are settled, and they didn't want to give up their homes. That's understandable. So one of the gentlemen, Scott Robbins, at 9196, offered his property as an easement to put a retention basin back there. Be more than happy to do that. You have other individuals that are here, and that's south of Ledge. You have other individuals here tonight that are going to speak that are north of Ledge. And after meeting with Nick and myself, they came up with the same plan using some of their property to have a retention basin. So Nick is looking into the possibility of you have one retention or detention pond that could slow the water down at that end, slow it, go across, have another detention pond, slow it down again, and then move it to Indian Creek. I mean, this is the first time that you've had this kind of way to look at this. We didn't before, and that's why it was so expensive. It was so out of mind and out of thought. But now with people willing to do this, this is a big step. It's a big step, and I think there's other homeowners there that are willing to make changes and add to their property. And I think it's very important. Now you have a stepping stone. And as I advised them, and I told them, they need to continue this. Because they, in Macedonia, as far as I'm concerned, and what I've seen over my almost 24 years, is they truly are a floodplain in Macedonia. And they definitely deserve to have, now with this help that they're willing to give, they definitely need council to really start looking into this and maybe help them out. I've contacted Rachel Webb with the NEORSD. And there are some plans. I talked to Nick about it. Broadview Heights had a similar problem, and they got a grant. 319, I gave Nick the name of their engineer who got the grant for them. Maybe you can start by dialogue with them and see what they did to take care of a similar problem. And it involves more, and luckily for you, you have a conservancy and you have a wetland. And that's what these grants wanted to see incorporated into detention ponds. So this is a good thing. It's a good start. So, and everyone else will have to say what they have to say, but I think this is very good, and you need to look at it now. Now you have some serious help, and the residents are willing to do it. So that's all.
Thanks.
Thanks for your
Kathy.
time.
All right. Next on the list is Barb. Please help me pronounce your last name, Barb. I'm not very good at Lachivo. Thank you.
I also brought some pictures, and I probably won't need the mic very much. But I'm Barbara Lachivo. I live at 561 Ledge, just down around the corner from Kathy and Tom. To answer your question, it is a big problem. It's been happening in our area for like the last 4 years. It is a serious issue. We're here to correct a wrong, and we want to meet the city halfway. I brought some pictures because they speak volumes. And I need you to pass them along, and I'll get within my 5 minutes. Can you? This first set of pictures is our ditch in front of our house. It's a ditch, it's supposed to be. It's a stream. It never dries out. You have 4 areas coming and funneling down to one ditch that cannot hold the water. When that ditch overflows, it goes into our property, floods our garage, floods our shed. This has happened 4 times in the last 3 years. The other problem that you're having is that Ledge Road is being compromised from erosion due to that overflow of storm water. This picture is in front of my neighbor's house, Patty and Bruce Genovese. You'll see how the road is cracking and also falling away, and how so much storm water is coming through our ditch that it's taking and washing the ditch away, going towards the road. That's another set of pictures that shows further down the road how much it's actually affecting more of our neighbors going towards the bridge that's also needs to be fixed. I can't stress enough how this council really needs to get on board and help us.
The other day when I was sitting at the four-way stop, I could not believe how much water was covering that box that's sitting right at the corner.
It never
was
used to
like
be that way.
Literally, it was so high, and I was thinking to myself, oh my God, that looks like I mean, I don't know what the box, because there's the electronic
The
stuff
pump.
that's a little bit
It's a pump,
over.
right? It's a
Yeah,
pump
it's-
station.
And I couldn't
Cleveland
believe
water.
how much water was sitting there, and it was just going up higher and higher as I was sitting there.
Do you know our ditch never dries out anymore? That picture, the first picture I gave you was after a minor rainfall, not a heavy rainfall, but a minor one, several hours after it stopped. Our ditch used to dry out in July and August. It now never does. It's like a steady stream, and it's washing away. I've already talked to the county, because the other issue, and I don't think I actually brought it, is that I have a storm manhole in our ditch. And it's actually,
It's sanitary.
oh, it's sanitary. It's actually, all of the soil is starting to come away from it. Now, I have to give Jim and Nick kudos because they actually have come out and they have made sure that stone is put up to brace it so that not more of it will come away, but we have other areas down our whole ditch that is actually being eroded away in big chunks. Not just little anymore, it's huge chunks. And you can see where Ledge Road is actually starting to, and it's only a couple of years old. Now, this is the best one. The middle of February. I'm sleeping in my house, my husband's upstairs, and I hear my sump pump running. And I'm like, why is it running in the middle of February? It shouldn't be running. And it wouldn't shut off. So I go upstairs to get Wayne, and I asked him, something's wrong, go downstairs and check it out. So he goes downstairs, and he finds out that the first sump pump is continuously running because the second sump pump, which is under our kitchen, is under 8 inches of water. And it's quit. And we're like, okay, well, we went back to bed thinking that the next morning we'll get up and we'll figure out what's wrong with it. He gets up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to work. He walks out, walks right back in. He's like, you're not going to believe this. We got flooded last night. 8 inches of ice was outside our house. Firestone had a major water main break, and somebody on the other side of us had another water main break, and the water was so great that it couldn't go anywhere else but in our yard. That's the last set of my drawings. Thank you very much. The last set of drawings that she's going to be giving you is our shed. It'll show you how much ice was in our shed. It took Wayne over 3 hours to not only chip the ice away from our garage doors and our man doors, but also take our tractor and shovel the ice off of our driveway. And then, thank goodness, the service department did come and give us a couple buckets of rock salt because we would have fallen and hurt something. It was just a sheet of ice out there. My whole yard was covered with ice, and we thought we were gonna lose some stuff on our garage doors because he had to chip away at the ice to even get them open. That's the middle of February. Why can't the water be drained in an appropriate manner that I don't get flooded? That's the first red flag. That's showing right there that we have a very serious problem. A resident shouldn't have to deal with that.
Barb, where is you're north of?
561 Ledge.
Okay,
So
you're north of Ledge on the east or the west side?
I'm gonna need help.
We're
Where?
we're on the north side of Ledge,
Okay,
just west of North Bedford Road, third house in from North Bedford
okay,
Road.
all right, I know where you're at.
We're the tan house with the wraparound porch
Okay,
in the front.
right.
I can't stress enough how much we need to have some type of solution for this. We're getting building damage, we're losing possessions because we have water coming from other resident areas to us. And some of those residents are new, they're not old. It's not always the county's fault. Like I said, I've talked to the county and they pretty much have said, this is a city's problem. They need to resolve it. They've pretty much said, we'll keep an eye on the sewer, but it's their responsibility to maintain it. And as far as the stormwater, they sent me back to you guys again. So I think me and Kathy are on the same, we'll be here constantly. This is just not a one-time visit. I think Nick and Jim have very good ideas, but just to fix the water, stormwater, would be a good solution, but we also need to fix Ledge Road and the ditches too. They're just not made to be a stream. It's just too much water. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, that was a good presentation, very, very informative. Nick, and are you actually on Ledge Road, Wayne?
Yes.
All right,
Husband
so,
and wife.
yes, all right. So your Ledge Road's gonna be closed in June.
Yeah.
Anything that we could, that comes to mind that we might be able to do, even as a temporary, because the road's gonna be closed?
And so, short term, Jim and I were, we were out there in maintenance of the ditch and protecting the sanitary manhole. We're short term. And we've been looking into, for the long-term issues, looking to identify funding sources for that type of a project because of the volume that you're dealing with. And as the residents have mentioned, you have stormwater coming in from North Freeway, from South Freeway, both sides of Ledge, and it's coming from the 271 corridor, which, is not going to be minimized anytime soon with additional lanes of pavement. So it's a legitimate concern that needs to be addressed. The biggest hurdle, from our perspective, usually for these types of projects is acquisition of property. And like Jim had mentioned, that first stumbling block seems to be overcome in that you have residents that are willing to work together with the city to pool chunks of their land together for whatever stormwater project might be identified.
And you're looking into that?
Yes.
All right, but the road, what about this collapsing berms and road and so forth? That's not one of the roads on our list, but it's not like, this is not an emergency? Is it getting serious enough that we need
Yeah,
to do-
especially, if the stormwater runoff issue is not addressed, absolutely. The road's not gonna get any better. The volume of water coming through the ditch is eroding the edge of pavement. It needs to be stabilized in the short term with stone, but the volume issue needs to be addressed.
So Nick, in the interim, armoring the ditch will probably be our first easy, quick fix.
Yeah, they've already begun doing some of that with rock to protect the side of the road. But that's the only option we have at this point, is to reinforce the side of the road with rock.
We talking
Stone, actually, the.
Right.
ones and twos, or we talking riprap?
Riprap,
Wow.
Yeah,
bigger
so
stone,
riprap.
not little stone. You need to put something there that's going to give the side of the road something to hold it together until we can come to a major solution. And a major solution needs to be done there. Like I said, in my opinion, it's the worst area in Macedonia.
Well, let me ask you the most important question. Have we attached a cost to correct this permanently? Or can you give a rough estimate of what you think it would cost to resolve this problem once and for all?
We're still looking at those, identifying those
talking
numbers.
Hundreds of thousands? What do we, roughly?
No, you're millions.
Like I said, you have an option of calling places like Broadview Heights that had the same situation. Talk to them, talk to their engineer. I gave it to Nick, and maybe get together and see what they did, see what programs they went into to fix their problem. I think that's one option to start with. Rachel Webb from the NEORSD made the same suggestions. In fact, she was the one that gave me the Broadview Heights. And so it wouldn't, I don't think it'll hurt to contact them and see what they had to do, what procedures they had to take, and who did they get the grant from.
Well,
Yeah, well-
you weren't a priority, and by coming here and showing us what you have, now I'm thinking we have a new priority. And it just goes to show you how things happen over years, priorities change. Some of the buildings and places that were a priority before are nowhere near what you are at now. Nowhere near.
Can I just say one thing?
Sure, Wayne, you can use the
You're
mic.
next in
Right?
line.
Well, you know, I don't have a whole lot to say. It's just that, you know, people gotta understand, this is not just 3 households being affected here. This is everybody downstream of us, the whole Indian Creek. This is a solution for everybody in the floodplain. You know, we're just not looking for 3 houses here. You know, us putting a basin in behind our property slows the water down from the north side of Ledge Road, come to south side of Ledge Road. Also, it helps the water get out from the east side of Bedford Road, down towards our property, out across the street. You know, there's so many waterways converging there. You really have to see it to understand it. And like I say, this is a solution for the entire area that's a floodplain, which goes all the way down to Route 82 down here. So I just want council to know this is a big issue. It's just not, you know, not 3 or 4 families here. It's a whole host of families. It's the whole Indian Creek development also.
Yes, Barb.
Can I add that, you know, I'm big on taking pictures to show everybody a visual of what's going on. When he says that it's just not us 3, the further you go down to the bridge from our house, there is a house that's a tan house. It's right before you get to Freeway Drive to go off and around the corner. That lady, if you look under her apron of her drive, it's pretty much, I want to say, a fourth gone, if not half gone, from erosion. It's going to be where part of her driveway is just going to collapse here over time. So it goes all the way down to her end, and then it comes up to us and around the corner to them, and then over at Indian Creek.
It's all eroded.
It's just that they're not here. We got the people on the other side of us too. But more and more you're gonna hear of it because we need something done.
Nick, let me ask this question. I believe you and Jim went out there. They are indicating that in the past 4 years it has gotten substantially worse. Why would that be? Do you have a theory?
I would assume that upstream areas, the runoff patterns change. There may be development upstream happening that's impacted the amount of water coming through or the rate at which it's coming through.
Yeah, I'm wondering, you know, if we know what is generating that, a change in the behavior. Do you know?
I've been there for 16 years.
Okay.
I'm Pat Genovese.
Uh-huh.
I've been watching this get much worse the past, probably since maybe 8 years.
Okay.
More, I mean, it's really bad now, the past 4. I really think the freeway has a lot to do with it. I see how much is coming to our creek, and I'm very concerned with all the progress that's going on up there. What's going to happen in the next year or so?
You think
But I really
that-
wonder about the freeway.
You think it's the pattern of how they are
Diverting the water?
diverting the water?
Absolutely.
Well, stormwater though, we've developed on North Freeway Drive. We developed on both sides of Ledge Road up there.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
we're taking a lot of land that collected water before, make it hard surface, and we don't have stormwater. Our only stormwater is to dump it in ditches which come our way. Every time we add a new piece of property or a new building up there, new housing up the road on Ledge, all that water's coming our way. We're not doing enough stormwater management in those areas when we build new to take care of the problem.
Well, I think you're right about that. You know, there has been a lot of discussion of putting in these impervious surfaces and having it all run downward, which is where you are.
Unfortunately,
Yes, and, you know, there have been I know that there are some companies that environmental design is one of them, I think Jim talked to them, that have looked at this and looked at strategies to try to increase the surfaces that are allowing water to go through. And I think what they've done is, like driveways and everything have to allow the water to go through them. We may, I don't know, but we're gonna have to be thinking very hard about how to correct these issues, because you're right. Anytime people are building higher than you are,
Right.
you're gonna get everything coming right at you. And if it's getting worse, this means that we haven't done the right things,
This,
so.
just quickly, the reports that you've done in the past, your stormwater, this is one of your CTI reports from
Your mic,
2007.
use your mic. All right,
Sorry.
Jim.
This
There you
is one of the
Yes, I know it is.
CTI reports from 2007.
Yes.
It's already in here. You have, and the other books I have from CTI, it's in there.
Right,
These
you're
are
right.
things that when, Patty said from 8 years ago, she's right, December 2007, this has been an issue. And you already have reports on it. So now, I think you have avenues on things to react with now by easements or whatever, but I think that it does need to be addressed, because they have water coming from every direction.
Yeah, we've often talked about that quadrant of the factor that it starts north of Ledge. Because we have people on Bedford Road who have come to us. And I have friends who live in one of those houses to south of Ledge, to Ledge Road. We had issues at the corner of those homes. And that's part of the reason that property on the corner became a conservancy, was to help stop what was going on with it. But as they've added more up above, it's just getting worse and worse. Now, I'm really old. I was around when Navajo flooded, and Navajo never floods. My fear is we're going to have another flood that backs up both sides across and into the homes in the Indian Creek Estates if we're not certain of how we're going to do this. So we put a plan together. It was a matter of funding. And that's when we wound up with the NEOSRD willing to help, but they wouldn't give us all our money back. So we're still battling that issue. But we need to take the plans that Kathy and her husband worked long and hard on with the rest of the committee. It's time to resurrect them and to get this going all the way down Ledge. And it's not just that quadrant, that little corner. Right. That water goes all the way downstream on Bedford. And so when they put in the bridge, one of the things we did on 82, which was purposefully, was to create retention there. I think, Al, you were there then when we did that, so that we had something, where the old Blue Willow used to be in the post office. There were things that were done, but it's just we have never tackled it fully to the extent that it needs to be. And with the freeway adding another lane, I'm all for that, trust me, adding another lane, but that's just more road surface. Where's the water going to go? And so we have the plan, we just need to get it in the budget and get this thing moving, because I'm tired of talking about it.
When you think about FEMA actually saying, well, buy the houses out, that shows you how complex the problem is. That people have, for years, already said, how are we going to fix this? So the pressure now is on you, Nick, and your company to find something that we can do, and if there is anything that we can do to give them some kind of road repair when the road is shut down during that period, that would be a perfect time. So maybe we can tackle a couple of things, but your problem is very complex, and your problem is very important to us, and it's just like they're coming down there to see you and asking what can be done and talking to FEMA. Would that be an option? It's not an option with you. That's okay. But at least that shows we were trying to find somebody somehow to get some funding so that we can get the huge project done. This will be huge. And it's great that those people like you are willing to work with the city and give up your property, because the cost of repairs or retention goes down by you giving up that property. So we appreciate that. So that's one hurdle, all right? Now we got some property. Now we gotta start talking about, will retention work? How deep will it be? What do we need to do? Your problem is acknowledged, and thank you for being so explicit about it and explaining it. That was good. I told you the other day, a picture's worth 1,000 words.
A million.
A million words. All right. All right. Moving on, Barb Lugos.
Barb DeLugos, 8388 Valley View Road. We were talking about the stormwater runoff. I'm adding that into my thing too. Years ago, when they did all the excavating and putting in pipes all along Valley View Road to go to Hudson, we didn't get a ditch because a ditch didn't look like Macedonia. We got a swale. Well, all of our water was running into our house. In our registers, we have no basement. So we dug our own ditch. I mean, it's like 6 feet, it was 6 feet deep, but now it's filling in, but eliminated a lot of problems. But we have a grate in between our house and the house on the south side of me. And when they tied in Thistle Ridge, I guess the pipes went down the other side of Valley View, came across diagonally to my neighbor's yard, and then down to this grate and out the back. Well, there's so much water that now the grate is 5 to 6 feet below ground level, because all the ground is just, when it rains, it looks like this huge fountain. It's my Disney World fountain. And we've lost so much ground. We have a gravel driveway. I've lost so much gravel. It's sickening. Anyway, but we're not getting flooded in our house. The other thing is, to the people who came tonight about their problem, I really have sympathy for you. But I'd like to remind you of something that's coming up later for discussion. We're looking for money for the city. And in the meantime, our finance director is still getting a full paycheck and hasn't worked here in months. And nothing has been settled because of our council. Not the mayor, the council. So think of this every time it rains. The other thing, I got a call today from my in-laws in Parma. Oh, I see Macedonia made the paper again. Let's stop putting, he said, she said, they said, all this crap in the paper. If you have something to say, come to council and say it. Say it in front of us. I'd rather hear it than read it in a newspaper. It's like second graders. But I know that the city needs money. We have big projects going on. And they're like, why is it so much worse now? Because we've had more construction. When we moved in 40-some years ago, we had ditches, like 3-foot ditches along the sides of our houses. Those have all just, there's nothing anymore. Those have all just filled in. It's time. Everything changes. And maybe 40 years ago where there was a water problem, it just kind of solved itself out. But I really feel for these people. But remember where the money's going.
All right, that's the last of our public comments for today, so we're gonna move right into pending and/or new legislation, starting with ordinance number 28-2015.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 28, 2015 for its third reading by title only.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a Macedonia occupancy program agreement with Blackburn's Hubcaps and Wheel, Inc.
And what's your pleasure?
I move that we pass and post ordinance number 28, 2015, and post according to law.
I need a second.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Darrow?
No.
Mr. Engel?
No.
Ms. Hannigan?
No.
Mr. Mulner?
I'd like to give a little background on this, and I hate to be redundant, but I know we talked about this in the past. Essentially, the Macedonia occupancy program was created to allure businesses into Macedonia and try and keep them here. This is kind of a unique situation where we have a business that was born in town, was one of our sons, and has grown to be a successful business that I think we can all be proud of, considering it started here and wants to remain here. Over time, we've had talks about how we would give this occupancy program, which is basically a tax break to these businesses. This is a great example of one where, when looked at, and I know there's a lot of opinions on how it could work, it was an opinion from our legal department said that we could give it to an existing business to try and retain them here. That being said, a company that grew in our town, and like I said before, is one of our sons, why would you not want to keep them in town and support them and give them, something back that was within our rights to do? I'm having a hard time with where this has gone and how it's developed over time, and some of these other ordinances coming up are related to that, but they're not giving what this guy should have for his business. I've always felt that they were an honorable business. I thought they were great business people, and now we may lose them because of this. There's better offers from other communities where they can move their business tomorrow with much more of a tax incentive. I'd rather keep our son here, our business, our growth with us, and he came to us in good faith asking for that, and now he's gonna get nothing, so I vote yes.
Ms. Tully?
There were members of our audit review, tax review committee who were supportive of this, and I listened to the residents outside the business itself. My vote is yes. This was a fair offer and should be offered.
Mr. Deemer, could you please explain that ordinance number 28, 2015, as it was not in compliance with the original ordinance?
It's the same that was granted several times prior. It's not in compliance with what council desired.
Right, okay. And then you have prepared, we had a work session, and you prepared a new one that will be in compliance. Just so everybody knows, the one that we are voting down, we were either going to table or vote down because it's not in compliance, and you have fixed that so that the new one going forward will be in compliance. Am I correct?
Just so you understand, the property in question and the property owner and company owner in question wants the benefit of 28, 2015.
Right.
And the following ordinance. So what we have on the agenda for later, which I drafted for council, to only give 50% of the brand new people,
Joe, use your mic, please.
is not what he is willing to accept, and so I'm not sure we even need to adopt the next ones. We can consider them further and look at them for a longer period of time. But
This is the one that he wanted, the same as what Empire had and patio enclosure had, and several others, but this is what he is desirous of, but it does not comply with what council wanted, so.
Yeah, but those other companies didn't comply as far as Empire, because they stayed here and they have the same employees. They changed their name.
Right.
They were bought by a new company.
Yeah.
They changed their name and they were going to leave. The new company is DBA Business as Empire. They're doing business.
Well, that's what I said,
as
this is the
Empire.
same as what was granted to
Yeah.
those other resident companies.
But they were in compliance.
But
The
they
other
were-
companies were.
Well, that's,
One wasn't, one wasn't.
right, okay, all right.
I'm not the mayor's running.
So,
Right.
All right,
ordinance fails.
ordinance fails. Moving on to ordinance number 29, 2015.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance 29, 2015 for its third reading by title only.
An emergency ordinance amending ordinance 108, 2007, as amended by ordinance 81, 2009, relating to the Macedonia occupancy program and eligibility requirements.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to, I move that we pass and post, according to law, ordinance number 29, 2015.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote.
No, we have a.
Oh, we did that, all right. What's your,
We
we
already did
have that. Let me have a roll call, please.
Ms. Darrow?
No.
Mr. Engel?
No.
Ms. Hannikin?
No.
Mr. Molnar?
Just a brief explanation of this one as well. This was an amended ordinance that amended the original program that we had, which was not, I believe, some members of this council wanted to change. Is that correct for this one, Joe?
Yeah, this one would allow the mop to be given to Blackburn because he could meet this criteria as amended.
So my vote's yes.
Ms. Tully?
Yes.
Ordinance 29, 2015 fails. Resolution number 36, 2015.
I move that we hold resolution number 36, 2015 at first reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote. We
No.
don't need that. Resolution number, ordinance number 38-2015.
Okay, this, I'm going to offer ordinance number 38, 2015 for its second reading by title only.
Mr. Mayor,
It's
shouldn't we
it's
read
38.
36 as well?
It's 38.
I had a second and
Do we normally read that if we hold it?
yes, everybody went by fast.
Sorry, just backing it up a little.
A resolution approving the mayor's removal of Scott Schwab as Director of Finance.
We already,
We did that, but
We didn't read
he
it.
asked,
oh, I'm
because I
sorry.
didn't read
Okay.
it, and he,
All right.
everybody just,
Okay.
So that's being held on second reading.
First.
it's first reading
The
still.
first reading. And I was offering the number 38, 2015 for its second reading by title only.
Now I'm going to. An emergency ordinance authorizing the mayor to adopt a revised records policy and declaring an emergency.
Moving on, ordinance number 40, 2015.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 40, 2015 for a third reading by title only.
Second.
An ordinance amending the current appropriations ordinance 116, 2014 to appropriate funds for full-time human resource personnel administrator of the city of Macedonia.
And what's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we pass and post ordinance 40, 2015 according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
No.
Ms. Hannigan?
Yes.
Mr. Mulner?
Another brief explanation, our HR lady has decided to part ways. She was a part-time employee. I know many years ago, I believe Dave and Jane were both here, we were opposed to it due to financial constraints, but given the changes in the economic climate, especially with Obamacare and all the fun that goes along with that, my vote is yes.
And Ms. Tully?
Yes.
Ordinance 40, 2015 passes. Moving on to ordinance number 41, 2015.
Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance 41, 2015 for its third reading by title only.
An ordinance establishing the part-time position of public records clerk with the mayor's office and establishing compensation therefore.
And what's your pleasure?
I move that we pass and post according to law ordinance 41, 2015.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Darrow?
No.
Mr. Engel?
No.
Ms. Hannigan?
No.
Mr. Mulner?
This ordinance was spawned because of the inordinate number of records requests we've been getting. A lot of those requests are very time-consuming and ask for a great deal of information that obviously takes time and money to develop all that. So with that, my vote is yes.
Ms. Tully?
Yes.
Ordinance number 41, 2015 fails. Moving on to ordinance number 46, 2015.
Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 46, 2015 for its first, second, and third reading by title only, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance appropriating money for additional funds needed for senior gutter cleaning.
And what's your pleasure?
First of all, this is adding $428 to the account, which we must do as councilmatic action. This concludes the program that we began to help seniors clean out their gutters. Unfortunately, I'm too young to get on that, and my husband still goes up to clean them out. And it makes me nervous, especially we've got water, we've got ice, we've got everything else. So I think it was a great thing that we could do this year, and I hope we can continue it in the future. Mayor, I'd like to move that we pass and post according to law ordinance number 46, 2015, please.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Hannigan?
I'd like to make a comment before I vote. I did speak to someone who owns the leaf guard business in Macedonia, and expressed to me that they would have been willing to donate this work this year, and we wouldn't have had to pay for it, but he was not contacted. So I would like to make sure in future that we at least talk to the potential helpers from Macedonia. And I will vote yes on this.
Mr. Mulner?
Yes.
And Ms. Tully?
Yes.
Ordinance 46, 2015 passes. Ordinance number 47, 2015.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance 47, 2015 for first reading only by title.
An emergency ordinance replacing the existing Macedonia occupancy program adopted by ordinance 108, 2007, and amended by 81, 2009, and replacing it with the new Chapter 191 to be known as the Macedonia Occupancy and Jobs Creation Program.
Moving on.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance 48, 2015 for its first reading by title only.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a Macedonia Occupancy and Jobs Creation Program agreement with Blackburn's Hubcap and Wheels, Inc.
All right, are there any other motions or legislative actions? Hearing none. Correspondence from the clerk?
I have none, sir.
Mayor's report. This evening I have some interesting demographic figures for you about Macedonia. Macedonia's population is listed in the 2014 Summit County report as 11,268. Male residents are 49.1% of that. Female is 50.9%. The highest percentage of the age groups of those living here is between 40 to 44 years old, and that figure is 10%. So we have a lot of middle-aged people here. We have 4,273 households. Of those, 75% are family households. In those households, 9,345 residents are 16 years old or older, and of those, about 70% are working. Now, this is where it starts to really get interesting. With only about 2/3 of our residents working, according to these statistics, the median household income is $80,930. The mean household income is $100,586. Just to explain, median income is where half make more and half make less. Mean income is the arithmetic average. So the average of the household incomes in Macedonia is over $100,000. And that's one of the highest in Northeast Ohio. The percentage of our residents living below the poverty level is 1.2% of all the families living here. So I guess that's a real good thing. And I guess this is as good a time as any to remind everybody to vote in May, because the city has a very important issue on the ballot. It's a simple tax renewal. It's not a new tax. It keeps the amount of money received from real estate taxes at $36 a year per $100,000 of value of your property. That's not a lot of services for all of the, not a lot of money for all the services provided to you. Maybe if it was a little more, we could do more stormwater work. In fact, our real estate operating tax is the lowest of all the Nordonia Hills communities. This coming Saturday, April 25th, we will celebrate Earth Day by having a community cleanup from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. We're going to meet at the fire station right out here at City Hall, and we're going to go out and pick up litter for a couple hours. After we do the cleanup, we will plant a tree in honor of Arbor Day at the north lot of City Hall, which is right out off 82. In conjunction with the EPA, we will be giving out free t-shirts and seedlings to the first 100 people who show up. And also, there is going to be a dumpster, and it's already sitting there on the north lot of the city until Monday. So if you would like to do something in your neighborhood and you go out there and pick up some trash, simply bring the bags here to City Hall and throw them in that dumpster. Tomorrow, on Saturday, we will be having light refreshments and maybe even some cookies. While we're discussing cleanup, I have to talk to you about Bob and what he told me today. Bob's last name is not really important. What he said to me is important. You know, I hear this over and over, and maybe it's time for us to say something about it in respect to Earth Day and the fact that we want things clean and we want to keep our planet nice. Bob was talking to me about his neighbors, and he was talking to me about his neighbors and some of them having cars on their driveway for months, and they're all rusted out, and they have piles of junk in their front yard, and they have garbage cans that they don't even take in when garbage is picked up. And the sad part of this is, that we hear this too often anymore. So please consider your neighbors. Have some pride. How you keep your yard, how you keep your house looking. Maybe we need to look first at our own neighborhoods on Earth Day. Let's bring Earth Day to our front yards. Please clean up that pile of junk. Please put your garbage cans away. Bob's right. We need to look at our front yards as other people see them. Macedonia needs to look good, and we're going to try hard to keep it that way, but we got to start with our own front yards. And that ends my report tonight. We'll go right into committee reports. Are there any committee reports?
Mr. Mayor, Charter Review will continue its next meeting, and that will be on April 30th at 6 o'clock. We will continue with voting with the various considerations and proposals that have been prepared and presented during the, I guess, 4 months which we've been meeting. Planning Commission met Monday. Probably the two most significant matters that were before planning was the Wendy's remodeling, which would be which would be both inside and outside. Those plans were sent back for further reworking in order to attempt to comply with the Western Reserve look, which is mandated in the city center. The Ambassador soccer complex passed for conceptual planning only. It was a 3 for and 2 against, and there are many remaining issues that have to come back to the Planning Commission as that matter proceeds. And I don't have a new date for next month's Planning Commission. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I was just looking to see here if maybe it's on here, but I don't think we've said it
No,
yet.
I think
Yeah.
you missed it, sir.
All right. Any other committee reports?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to suggest that we do have a Finance Committee report sometime in the first 2 weeks of June. We should have input from the critical months from the Income Tax Agency by that time, and I think that it's a good time to review where we are mid-year with the budget, and we can see what resources we're going to have available that we may be able to add into the stormwater issue or some of the other areas. So I'm going to suggest that we try to bracket a day in those first 2 weeks of June to be able to have a review. So
Could we
I'm going to
look-
try to schedule that.
Could we look at a different week? Because the first week in June, correct me if I'm wrong, Angela, that's the festival week.
The 4th through the 7th.
Okay.
But I don't know that we have it. At any rate, I'll suggest some dates and see if we can't come up with a common date.
Are there any other department reports this evening?
Committee report.
I'm sorry,
Stay
committee
with us for a
reports.
while.
I got ahead of myself. None? So I will move now to department reports, starting with you, Jim.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Well, I was going to tell you about Earth Day, but the mayor took care of that. So what I'll talk about is also in May 9th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's when we're going to have the plant sale from the Garden Club. It's one day, and it'll be at the old firehouse at 9683 Valley View Road, where it is every year. The crews are still out coal patching. Today they patched the commons, which is really bad, really bad. Some of the holes were actually probably 2 feet wide by maybe 6 to 7 inches deep. So it's something that council might consider after June, if they see there's funds available, possibly, even if you do parts of the road where it's really bad, or
You may
sections.
want to look at
that
full
would
depth
be up to,
repairs.
Nick
Yeah.
and
Yeah, we could look at full depth repairs, and perhaps also we could be looking at whether an assessment of that
Right.
complex might be
Yeah, because
desirable.
most of the money that we have for full depth repairs has been
Right, we'll have to look at
allocated
it.
already.
Right.
That we have. As everybody knows by now, I am leaving the city as service director. I know the rumor mill will say I'm leaving because of pressure of, because of council. Well, that's not now or ever has council pressured me or and I'm leaving because of council. Never. Nobody on council is giving me pressure. Some things I think are a little overboard, but that's not a reason to leave. I'm leaving because I have reached all my goals. I've worked in the private sector for almost 27 years. I reached all my goals there. I worked in the city of Macedonia for almost going on the 24th year. I've reached all my goals here. I started part-time cleaning out your drains and snaking them and worked all the way up to be service director. So I think I have done what I needed to do. I've been working for over 50 years. So it's time for me to go on and enjoy my life and what I want to do with my wife and I. I'm proud of what I was able to accomplish here. I am responsible for and taught the construction techniques and work that was done and still being done today. Your catch basins, the right way. Curbs, sidewalks, streets, crossover, head walls, trench drains, etc. The dock at Longwood. My name is, or I've had something to do with almost every part of this city. So, and I feel good about it. And the last stormwater projects that we were able to do is because of my Mennonite. And that's North Bedford. Gloria and Eileen. So it's just time for me to start a new chapter in my life. I'm not leaving the city, in any kind of bad shape or in despair. In fact, over the last 10 years, both as foreman and as service director, I was involved in hiring a lot of different people. And during that time, I made sure that the goal was to have a future for the residents in Macedonia of having really high-quality people. And all these guys are great in all phases of construction and in service work. Nobody on council or even in the city realizes or has any idea of the caliber of men that you have in your service department. You have journeymen, masons, licensed electrician, licensed and certified HVAC and boilermen, class 3. You have operators of heavy equipment. You have concrete, asphalt, carpenters. You have a plumber that was just hired that just needs to have a refresher course in the codes, and he also will be licensed, a licensed plumber. We also have an arborist who graduated through Purdue, and you also have a horticulturist who graduated from Ohio State University. So, and then also all the jobs that were started that I initiated or had a part in, and I want to thank council for actually making a lot of this happen. It's all taken care of. The men have enough work just for this year alone between the parks, between Park and 82, all the different things that they're doing that they're done for the whole year. They have, everything is prepared for them. Now, a lot of the things that you were looking to get done, the grouting at Atterbury and sidewalks, all these things are in place. And like even the roof, we know that it's been bid out. Everything will be handled by GPD, even the construction meetings, everything. So you don't even have to worry about it. When they do it, it'll probably be in midsummer. It'll take 2 months to do. So crossovers will be done probably within a week, and they'll be ready for anywhere they want to start the streets. And we are going to have a street meeting next week with GPD. Striping is also in GPD's hands, so that will be going out for bids soon. The gazebo is going to be in full swing in the cannon and all that stuff. You're going to see in 2 months that it'll take to do Memorial, you're going to see some major changes. It's going to be completely different. Jan will have the drawings probably within a week. I gave her drawings because when they're done with that, they'll probably do Park in 82 I gave her drawings for that. We're gonna turn that in, not only into, where you'll have your rain gardens and all that, it's gonna be actually turned into partially a memorial for the firemen and for the police, with their flags and the American flag and everything. She has the drawing of that, preliminary drawing, and it's pretty nice. And some of the pervious pavers that we're gonna use there are a tribute to police and to fire. And Jan has those pictures. So you're gonna see those big changes, and in Sugar Bush, you won't recognize it in the next 2 weeks. The next 2 weeks, when you go there, you are not gonna recognize it. There's still a lot to do there, and I hope that once council sees the major changes there, that you'll wanna finish it. You'll wanna put it in the parking lot, you'll wanna do other things that need to be done there. They'll be working on sinkholes. They're gonna be working on all kinds of things. The men will fill in on jobs whenever they finish any major job, they'll fill in with other work. And one of the things that they'll do is to help the residents, that was initiated over the years, was for culvert pipes in their driveways, at their aprons. What we would do to help the residents, they would pay for the pipe, we would take it out, we would put it back in, but only to stone, only to stone. If there's concrete or asphalt, they had to take care of it themselves. But we initiated that to try to help the residents, and they'll fill that in, when they're in between all these other things, catch basins and berming, that we also said we would do. I just don't want council to worry about what is going to be happening, because the city's not in bad shape, or even the residents to worry about. Nothing to worry about. These men that you have here, the average tradespeople, and the average people there have 15 years' experience in trades. And in fact, one of the last hires, Ron Farron, I always told you could check his work out at Petiti's or Zavarino Brothers. But if you want to really check out his work, walk out the door and look at the brick. He worked on this building. So these are the quality people you have here. And I hope that you'll learn to really respect them. And I think they deserve a lot of kudos, because they've done a great job, and it was a pleasure for me to work with them. I think they're great. And I also feel the same way with these people that I've sat at this table with. Mike, Angela, Nick Feeney, Tim Black, and John Golden. To me, they are the true professionals and experts in what they do. And again, this city has no qualms or worries when it comes to these people, because I've worked in many states, and like I said, I have 50 years, and these are probably the best I've seen. They are really good, and I've been connected with a lot of other cities also. So, and I also want to thank you, Mayor, for what you have done for this community, and for my men and I. We're here, we're where we're at because of you, and I thank you for that. And that's basically what I have to say. I leave this city with my head held high. My name's on a lot of things, and I feel good about it. And that's it. I'm ready to go.
Jim.
But I'm going to be sticking around a little bit to help the mayor in some things that need to be done, working with, trying to get another person in here.
And Jim, congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you.
And thank you for everything you've done. And I do know, that's what I was going to ask you, because I heard there was a posting for the service director.
Yes.
And is that just for in-house, or is
Well-
someone allowed to apply from outside?
Well, what the procedure is, you have to post in-house. And then we have some, the mayor actually has quite a few from the last time of people that he's already started to interview. And then the other step is also to advertise on the outside. So it's a stepping procedure, and it could take time. But again, as I stated, we're in good shape.
How
We're in
long
good
is the
shape.
posting for in-house?
The in-house is only a couple days.
Okay,
That's
and
all.
then it goes to the outside?
And then it goes, yeah, and the mayor has already started interviews. We have interviewed 4 people already.
I mean, I'm talking about posting something on the outside.
As far as advertising it, no, that has to be done.
Okay.
Well, if we can come up with somebody that we've interviewed in the past, I don't know if we'll be posting on the outside. And thank you very much, Jim, for all you've done, and thank you for what you said, and thank you for agreeing to help me try and fill those mighty big shoes of yours. Because there's nobody gonna be hired here unless they are somebody that you would think would do the job as you have. So we're gonna try and continue what you've started.
Thank you.
Jim, I'd like to thank you as well. I know that, rather not talk about your replacement, I think this is your minute here, so I can tell you that anytime I've called you, you've answered the phone, whether it was at 9 o'clock in the morning or it's 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday, you always answer the phone, and to me, that I appreciate that, because working in the same field, it can be frustrating, and you can hear the sighs on the phone, and I know sometimes you probably want to wring my neck, but you're always there when I needed something, and that, to me, that's invaluable, because that speaks to your character. It shows that you cared about this community and the problems that existed and where we needed to go and what we needed to do. So I can't say enough good things about you. I wish you weren't leaving. I wish you can give us another year. But I understand where you're at in life, and have fun in that hot rod.
I'm going to. Thank you.
I'd like to say something to Jim. I know I've talked to a number of residents, and they do say that you're very responsive when there's an issue, and I have observed that myself. I think it's a long time to serve in any position, to be here 24 years and in the kinds of responsibilities you've had. And I hope your retirement is very enjoyable. And although we don't always agree, I think we agree that we've done a lot this year to really begin a maintenance program that we needed to have. So congratulations and best wishes.
Thank you.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say something, because we go back quite a ways.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone ever realizes that a service director wears many hats. Everybody always thinks they're the snowplow guy. But then they're also the guy who makes sure that we get the parks the way they need to be. And oh, by the way, we took on leaf pickup. We took on gutter cleaning. And gosh, add in stormwater and roads. That's one whole person there just for stormwater. And that's what the service director has done. And you stepped in, and we didn't miss a heartbeat at a time that we could have really went the wrong way, because we were you didn't come in at the right time with a lot of money in the bank. And so from all the years that I've known you, it's been a pleasure to work with you. And you always answer a resident's email, phone call, and anything that's brought to you. May not be the answer they want to hear, but you were willing to listen, and that is a credit to your ability. Now, this hot rod, don't tell Greg you got one, okay, because he's going to want one.
Hey, thank you.
But good luck in your retirement, and be sure to come around. You got to be at the festival, at least,
Yeah.
and see how that keeps going. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jim, congratulations. Hot rod? I thought you had a,
Well, it's a classic.
that's right, that's not a hot rod, that's a classic.
No,
You
at
still
this
never let me-
point, I'm ready to lay back.
You never let me ride in it yet. That's all right. I forgive you for that oversight, and it's been a good experience working with you. I know you put your heart into it. And enjoy your retirement. I know you've earned it. I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.
Hot rod. What an insult.
Hot rod's never an insult.
It is to a Ford, what is it? Thunderbird.
Thunderbird convertible.
57?
58.
59.
Oh,
Nine.
well, it's not that old then, right?
Yeah.
That's a classic.
Boy, I'll tell you, there's just no words that any of us can say to somebody like you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, Mike, what you got for us?
Thanks,
You're
Mayor.
not leaving, are you?
No.
Okay.
I'll top that, Mike.
I'm applying in the next 2 days, though. But I want to congratulate Jim. Jim and I have known each other since 1993, off and on, and worked together. And then over the last 6 years, we've worked very closely together. And I could tell you that he was a wonderful service director. He came up with some ideas. We had some tough situations throughout the years where we couldn't order, for example, catch basins or junction chambers on some of the street corners with our storm sewers. And we had to come up with creative designs in order to make these things work. And Jim led the crews with the concrete work and the form work in order to build junction chambers that just were, you would never see anything like this, and you can't order anything like it. So once again, I appreciate all the hard work he's done, and he brought a level of expertise that's going to be hard to fill. With that, I've got the Marriott is coming back, and they've been meeting with me, trying to conform with zoning regulations in that district. They're fully aware that they could go 6 levels if they enter into the B4 district by where the hotels exist now. By going in where they want to, by Vista Springs and Enclave, they are restricted to 3 levels, and they're trying to come up with a plan for that. Vista Springs is moving along very good. We've done some framing inspections there, and the building is looking very, very well as far as framing is considered. And we have the fire department going through there right now. I think Tim's going to be bringing people in shifts so they get the fire department familiar with this almost 100-room assisted living center. So that way, if there's ever an issue, all the firemen are aware of how it is constructed. Enclave is getting the first occupancy tomorrow. We're given a temporary 30-day. Not all items are complete as far as zoning and engineering. There's a couple minor building issues on the first occupancy. We're going to give them 30 days to complete those. And that concludes my report.
Very good. Angela.
Thank you, Mayor. Jim, congratulations on your retirement. You have
Thank you.
certainly earned it. The feeling is mutual. I thank you for all of the kind words that you said. Over the last several years, Jim has received many, many phone calls from me, evenings, weekends, 5 a.m. for snow plowing, snow removal at the rec center, fields that need lined, pavilions without working electricity, and when someone's renting them on a Saturday, many building repairs, electrical work, you name it. He's always answered my calls, and we've worked very well together. So we're gonna miss you, but good luck to you.
Thank you.
Moving along, we had our first city 5K. The Nightway 5K was last Sunday, April 19th. We hosted that at the high school stadium. For a first-year event, we were pretty pleased with the weather forecast and everything included. We did have over 100 runners. I think we had 108 total. So it was a very, very nice event. I want to thank Hermes of Cleveland for helping out with that. They really contributed a lot to that event. Unfortunately, our runners and walkers did get poured on. It's probably an understatement. The weather forecast actually didn't call for rain till 6 p.m. I'd been monitoring it like crazy, and unfortunately a cloud came out of nowhere, and there are some participants here in the audience as well as up on council who unfortunately got caught in that rain. But all in all, it was a successful event, and we do look forward to hosting that again next year and building that and growing that event over the next several years.
Yeah, we've talked about potentially moving the time of year next year based on the fact that in April it's very difficult to predict the weather. If it's going to be warm, cold, rain, snow. I mean, look at today. Here we are at April 22nd. 108 participants is phenomenal for a first-time event. Angela had spoken when I first got there, and we only had 70. So we had 38 people sign up that morning of it. Majority of them were folks who use our rec center. I got to talk to quite a few of them, and they had learned about it through the rec center. We're excited to see it. We also had the Walsh Jesuit cross-country coach, and we had a kid I didn't recognize at first because I coached him in soccer when he was under 6, and now he's 6 feet something, and they're running along, and it was nice to see the community come together. I did tell Angela she lucked out because I did not compete. I participated. There's a difference. I didn't go out to run as hard as I could. So those of this towards the end got rained on. But I told her you lucked out because just 2 miles away at our house, it was hailing. So we didn't get hailed on, but we got lightning and we got the rain. Thank you to the guys at the rec center. Thank you to Cindy. Thank you to the volunteers who came from other communities to volunteer for us, and to the poor DJ that maybe this year when he plays at the festival it won't rain, but he got rained out last year, and there he is playing music for the end, and he got rained out at the race. So it's like he might be our omen of doom, but I really apologize. But thank him because he stayed with it, and there's nothing better than crossing the finish line and having music cheer you on at the end. Oh, and to the Brants, they were sitting out on their front lawn cheering as you came around towards the end, and then when it's raining, Mom went inside, but there's the daughter out there in the garage cheering us on. And so I want to say to the two of them, thank you so much. It was such a nice thing to see and to have that encouragement. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to say something too. I just brought my medal with me, just accidentally.
She's so modest.
That's right. For being the top finisher in my age group. And I want to challenge those people to come out next year. I think we need to have at least 150 participants. And it was very well run, and there were people out in the yards cheering us on and offering us libations of various kinds, you know. And towards the end, when there was a bit of rain coming down in fairly large buckets, we actually had someone offer to drive us back, but we said no. We're going to finish this thing, and we did. So thanks to everybody. It was very, very, very much fun. And next year I want to see a lot of folks out there in my age group. Thanks.
Second item I have is a reminder that the Spirit of Macedonia Community Festival will be taking place June 4th through the 7th. This is our 4-day festival to bring the community together. We have entertainment all 4 days on stage, live music, food concessions, rides. Fireworks are Saturday, June 6th. Those are 10 o'clock p.m. on Saturday, June 6th. That is probably the number one question we are asked. You'll start to see a lot of advertising in the next few weeks. We'll have yard signs again for those who are willing to place them in their front yards. We will have the big signs around the surrounding communities as well, newspaper ads, all of the same advertising pretty much as last year to reach as many people as we can. So that will start up here shortly. We are happy at this point that our sponsorship has exceeded last year's sponsorship, and it's continuing to grow. So we're getting a lot more of the local businesses involved in supporting this event, and we love that. So we want to get everybody that we can involved in this. But again, June 4th through the 7th this year. And then lastly, our summer day camp registration is open. We do have a tendency to fill up on certain weeks that are a little more popular than others throughout the summer. It's a 9-week summer camp for ages 6 through 12. We have before care and after care for those who do work. And it's a fun, you can sign up per week. You don't have to sign up for the entire 9 weeks, but they go swimming, they have activities in the park, they take field trips every week. So it's a very good time, something to get your kids involved with this summer. And registration is open as we speak. And that is all I have tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Good job. Nick?
Thank you, Mayor. I too would like to wish Jim good luck and congratulations in retirement. It truly has been a pleasure working with you. Worked with many service directors, and I can honestly say you're among the best, Jim. Hopefully you're going to keep to your promise of hanging around the next couple of weeks to see some of these things come to closure. As Jim has mentioned, we are having a pre-construction conference with our roadway contractor next week, at which point in time we'll be able to report back to you, let you know what the schedule's going to be for the roadway recycling. We are wrapping up the pavement condition rating report. We've made some pretty significant progress anticipating completing that report within the next 3 weeks. I hope, that we can finish it up and present it at the May 14th regular council meeting. We're also busy working on the Sioux Culvert Replacement Project. We've completed the field survey work on that project. We've also conducted the soil borings that were necessary for the foundation work, and we are in the process of analyzing the culvert and putting together some preliminary options, at which point in time I will sit down with Mike and Jim, make sure we're all on the same page before we move forward with a final design in that project. Once we get to that point, we'll update the cost estimates and come back to council with a recommendation and request an authorization before we proceed with the public bid process. We've also been working with Jim on the City Hall roof replacement contract. Our architects are currently putting together design packages for that. So we will also present that to council at the appropriate time and request authorization to proceed with the bidding process once we get to that point. And that's all I have to report on, Mayor.
Very good, thank you. This evening, we have Lieutenant Rob Lewis with us, representing Fire. Rob?
Thank you, Mayor. Jim, congratulations, good luck. I would like to say on a safety behalf, there's been multiple times throughout the night when, the weather's bad and we're out with a car accident, and we can call his men anytime, day or night, and they're there for us if we need anything. So it's been nice. Good luck. Do have a few things for the chief. The chief has requested a safety committee meeting, I believe, with Mr. Monar. We're looking at a few things with the fire department. We have 3 ambulances that we run in the city. Our oldest ambulance is a 1997 that we're looking to replace. And if everything goes right, we would like to place the order this year and take delivery of it next year. It's a pretty long, drawn-out process. So the chief has requested a safety committee meeting. Also, the chief would like to discuss our aerial tower is a 1991, which it's getting old. We're babying it along. If everything goes right, the chief would really like to place an order in 2016 to take delivery in 2017. Again, it's a very tedious process with the planning and order specs for these trucks. Our 1999-2000, it's 2215. It's our frontline engine that responds on all our residential fire alarms and a lot of our commercial fire alarms. We just did a bunch of major repairs to it, approximately $6,000 worth of repairs. So actually what we're doing is we're starting to see a lot of things that we're trying to maintain and keep up to speed with our trucks as they continue to get older. I know there's some additional repairs that we're looking at with 2215. Captain Ripley is in the process of trying to get some estimates with prices. Other than that, that completes the report. Thank you.
Very good, thank you, Rob. John?
I'm at the end of the line here, Mayor. I just want to wish Jim congratulations on his retirement. I think everybody's pretty much said it. I want to thank Dr. Deb Wallace and Principal Casey Wright for their heroin awareness team presentation they had. I believe it was Tuesday?
Yes.
Yeah, Tuesday. Rita and I were there. Wonderful information. They had great folks up there talking about the issues that they've dealt with, whether it was them or a family member dealing with the heroin problem. One thing I learned was heroin isn't supposed to peak until 2018. It's not supposed to peak, so we haven't seen the worst of it. I can tell you that nearly half of the people in jail are drug-related arrests, whether it be drugs, and I'm not talking about marijuana here, folks. I'm talking about actual drugs, cocaine, heroin, pills, whatever. Thefts, where they steal and then trade it in for drugs or whatever. Myra Severn, our prosecutor, estimated conservatively that at least 70% of the arrests out of the commons are drug-related. This is a huge problem. I thank the schools for putting the presentation on. They had a presentation earlier in the day with the middle school kids. So they're trying to do their thing and prevent this. So one of the things that one of the speakers, or several of the speakers, mentioned was pills. Pills are a big thing now, particularly in this area. And you go from pills to heroin because you get hooked on pills, whether it be Percocets or anything along those lines, but they're more expensive to buy than heroin. So you can't afford the pills, so you go to heroin. Where do the kids get the pills? From your medicine cabinet, from grandma's medicine cabinet. When you have a root canal or something like that, a surgery or something like that, you get prescribed all this medicine, all these painkillers and such. You might use it, you might not, then it sits in your medicine cabinet or at grandma's house or whatever, and the kids take it. They steal it, they go to parties, they use it, whatever. We have a drug drop box at the rec center. It's a gray box in the corner. You walk through the front door, turn to the right. It's a gray mailbox in the corner. Please utilize it. I'm up there about every 2 weeks. Angela checks the box when she can. And we pick up. I got a call last Saturday to go and empty the box. It was so full. So use that drug drop box. Go to your parents' house, clean out what you have, get rid of all the drugs that you're no longer using. Don't let the kids get hooked on those because it's going to lead to heroin. It's an issue. And lastly, burglaries. If you haven't been following Facebook, on the Macedonia Facebook page, I mentioned about the drugs, and the drop box, and the burglaries. We're just asking you, watch out for your neighbors. Just call the police. The biggest problem that we have, and we would have caught these people already, is if you see something unusual, do not wait an hour. Do not call your mother. Do not call your neighbor. Just call the police. Just call the police, and we'll catch them. Unfortunately, we get a call an hour later, a day later. Somebody sees something, so they call their neighbor, or they call their parents, or they call their sister and ask for their opinion. It would have been solved by now. Just if you see something unusual, call the police immediately. Stay on the line. Watch what this person, this vehicle, or whatever is doing, and tell the dispatcher and lead the police right to the issue. That's the best thing you can do. Just stay vigilant. That's all we need, and we'll take care of this. That's all I have.
Good
John,
job.
thank you. I do want to say something about this heroin awareness. It's extremely bad, and it's life and death. And just the other day, a family in Northfield buried 2 sons in 1 month. Okay? And, what a lot of people don't realize is that 30, 40 years ago, the opiates, the pain medication that has been given out now is different. It's not the same kind of pain medicine the pharmaceutical companies put out years ago with the doctors. And the mayor and I learned this in Washington, and a couple other residents in the audience. We learned this in Washington, that it is so bad that they're going after the doctors. The doctors make so much money on distributing pain meds, okay? It's not the drug dealers that they're taking down now, it's the doctors. And we all learned this in Washington last year. And the bottom line is, if you go to a doctor, and even your children, they're wanting, the Drug Enforcement Task told us in Washington, stop taking the pain meds. Don't let, when you go to the hospitals or the doctors with your children, don't put them on pain meds. Give them ibuprofen or something like that, Tylenol. I'm here to tell you, I had 2 C-sections, and I'm in recovery. And I refused any narcotics or pain medicine in my IV when I had 2 C-sections, okay? The recovering person has to protect their sobriety with all cost. And I only took Motrin when I had 2 C-sections because my sobriety means everything to me. And we need to educate everybody because this is becoming a huge problem. I'm in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous on a daily basis. I'm in the hospitals. I'm in the jails. I'm trying to carry the message to try to help people. I've been clean for 26 years, and I can tell you, people are dying. If you look in your paper, we are losing so much young right now, and this is a fighting cause for me, and I feel really bad that a family has to bury 2 children in 1 month. This is a big problem we're having. And everybody's trying to figure out how to fix it. How you fix it, you get the pharmaceutical companies out of our treatment centers and let AAs take it back, and you detox off everything. everything, and you go into recovery and you start working a 12-step program. That's how you fix it. Stop taking the pain meds. Thanks.
Sure enough. Mayor, if I can just interject, I can give you a little bit of information because, like the chief said, and like Mrs. Darrell said, it's something that in my line of work I deal with a lot, and Chief and I were just discussing, we had one today in our community, and I can tell you that from a pre-hospital side and the hospital side, because I work on a hospital side too, I'm a registered nurse also, so I've got a lot of experience in the intensive care unit and the ER. And what we're seeing is that the problem across, and it's just not here in Macedonia, it's Cuyahoga County, it's Portage County, it's Summit County, it's every county. It is really, really bad. And what we seem to be finding out is that the heroin that's in this area is much purer and it's much stronger. So the people who are taking their normal doses of heroin are getting a new strand of heroin that is 10 times as strong as what they've used to been taking, and they don't cut down their normal dose. So then they overdose, and then we get called. But what is being done on the hospital side of it is a lot of patients just go from hospital to hospital to hospital, ER to ER, trying to get medications. It is the attending physician's duty that when a patient comes in and requests specific medications, and they're very specific medications, they have to go to a specific web page. And on that web page is very accurate in regards to medications that people are seeking. And if an individual has been at one emergency room in Cuyahoga County, and then 3 days later they end up at an emergency room on the south end of Summit County, it throws a red flag up. And the attendings in the ER have to do a very, very, very thorough job before they prescribe those medications. Because if they continue to prescribe those medications and don't have the documentation the way it's supposed to, then that ER physician can be liable. So there's a lot of things being done inside with the hospital too, and with the government to try to control the situations.
Thank you. A lot of good information. Joe?
No report, Mayor.
All right. Do we have any new business? Unfinished business?
Can I do one unfinished business? Angela, do we have the donation from the race?
No, they said that would be 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay. And then we forgot to thank, there are a lot of sponsors that did come out. And actually, the one is our therapy place by
Dreyer.
Paul. Very,
Dreyer.
too bad it rained, because we really were having some great conversations. Want to say thank you to the sponsors for that.
I do have a couple of things, Mayor. First, I'd like to strongly endorse the property tax levy renewal that is coming in May on our ballot. I think it's, not only is there no tax increase, but this is great because we still get the rollback from the state from any property tax, which means that we're not paying full freight, but any new ones would in fact have to pay full freight and we wouldn't get the rollback. So this is a no-brainer. You should be voting for that on in the May primary. I'd like to make a comment about, I attended the Planning Commission meeting this week where the discussion of the South Bedford Road Ambassador Complex on Highland Point issue was brought up, was thoroughly discussed. There was a 3-2 vote in favor of this. I personally am very concerned about this because I believe there are a number of issues that are not resolved with the plan that was presented by the Ambassador Sports Group. And I'm particularly concerned about two things. One is the height of the building. I know that they've said they're going to basically go down 12 feet with the building, the first building they're going to build. But the second building is apparently going to be, if I understood this correctly, 55 feet high. And that means that somehow in our ordinances, we have a building this height and a companion building this height, and this comes out to an average of 35 feet. I think that we need to look at that from the point of view of these residents. And I'm real concerned that this is very disruptive, and many residents were very, very displeased with that kind of analysis. I think the other thing about this whole complex, I know that the Ambassador Group has said that they are willing to work with the residents, and they're certainly offered to do certain things which I think were positive. Just the whole process, though, of, you know, they've been asked, the residents had been asking about public versus private, and we didn't get that information in terms of the legal opinion until the afternoon of that session. And I think that's not giving the residents enough time to review and ask for other legal advice. So I'm going to be watching this. Joe, you said in January that we would be able to vote on the sales agreement here in council. I don't know when that's planned, but I think that's something that we ought to be doing. And finally, I'd like to make one more correction on the statements that have been made about the finance director being paid. The finance director of the council has asked several times that he be restored to duty. We have never, ever asked that he be paid on paid administrative leave. That is the decision the mayor has made. But we have not said that. We said he should be working, and that as an outcome of our investigation, then we'll make a determination about what ought to be done next. But the facts are, we have cost nothing. The council has even paid for the investigation that we think is objective and should have been done from the beginning. We will be receiving a report on that, and then from that report, it will be made public, and there will probably be an open discussion. So I just want to make that sure that everybody understands. We have not paid that the finance director, other than at the direction of the mayor, to be on leave. We want him back on duty. We think he should be on duty. So with that, I'm going to close down for the night.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Josephine,
Before
roll
we
call.
do-
Roll
Wait. I have one thing. I know you don't want a rebuttal. I'm not going to rebut you,
Yeah.
Ms. Hannikin, because it's been on there to remove and uphold the removal numerous times, and council's voted 3-2 not to remove the gentleman. What I want to do is, we lost a friend this week, Tim Campana, who had been the superintendent for the Northfield Macedonia Cemetery. I was privileged to work with him, and he was our superintendent for a while. And our heartfelt wishes and hope for comfort to the Campana family, because, you know, when you start reading these things and these people are in their 60s, it really starts to make you stop and think. You know, I hate it. I love the news leader, but this week, you know, when I saw my neighbor, Jan Runovich, at the age of 65, got to tell you, and Mr. Need, who went to school with the Needs. But let's end this on an absolutely wonderful note, because we have someone who will be missing, I believe, at the next council meeting, because they're getting married. And I want to congratulate Angela, and I was able to meet her absolutely wonderful fiance at the race. Congratulations, good luck. Have a great time at the wedding, and we'll all be waiting to see your tan in the pictures when you get back.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Jan.
Thank you.
Should I start the roll call now?
Yes.
Ms.
Yes.
Yes.
Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Hannikin?
Yes.
Mr. Molnar.
Yes.
Ms. Tully?
Yes.
Jan, thanks for mentioning this. Angela's got that in May, you gotta get her on the plate.